What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Rogue G here, bringing you guys another Warzone mobile video. If you guys haven't already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and let's get into it. Now, what you guys are about to see is some Black Ops 6 beta footage from when I was playing week 1 and week 2. My week 1 footage had got corrupted, so this is actually week 2 footage. But I just wanted to show you guys that even as a mobile gamer, we can still play console and PC games right off our mobile device. I'll be making a video on that in the near future of how I play my console and PC games off of my mobile devices, so look out for that. But I mainly want to talk about, like in the description, the future of Warzone mobile. So, as everyone knows by now, and if you don't know, you're about to, Black Ops 6 Omni movement is being integrated into Warzone mobile. Now, that's going to have pros and it's going to have cons, but let's just talk about in general the future of Warzone mobile. So, we're going to talk about the negative, the good, and then the things I would like to see come to Warzone mobile. So let's get into it. Now, one of the first things I want to talk about, which I find is a con, is the dedicated melee button. During week 1 and week 2, you rarely saw anyone pull out their dedicated melee, just because I don't know if people are not used to the dedicated melee being the analog stick, or if it's just because you also are now meleeing with your analog stick. You hold it down to pull out your dedicated melee. You tap your analog stick to go into a finisher, and then you double tap your analog stick to go into a meat shield, where you take a hold of opponent and use them as a shield to shoot at other people. Me personally, I feel like that's a lot of things for one button to be doing. I love the idea of a dedicated melee button. I just don't know if having the analog stick was the best button. Now, in Battle Royale, that might be perfect, right? But in multiplayer, I think it would have been a more seamless transition if you would have just hold down Y or hold down triangle or whatever your keybind is if you're on PC to switch your weapons. Back in the original Black Ops game, there was a perk called Mule Kick to where you could have a third weapon, and all you had to do was hold down your weapon swap button to pull out the third weapon. I think that would be a way easier transition into multiplayer using your dedicated melee. Now, I understand this won't work in Battle Royale because holding down your weapon swap button is also how you plate up your armor in Battle Royale. So you might have to keep it as the analog stick, but giving players the option for when they're in multiplayer to just hold down the weapon swap to pull out the dedicated melee, it might do well for the community. So I'm hoping people from Activision actually sees a video like this one and take this as constructive criticism. The next thing I want to talk about is taking away duos and solos out of Battle Royale and Warzone Mobile. Forcing people to play trios and quads when they don't have enough people online. It's really depleting to someone's energy when you're trying to get a win, but the randoms that you queue up with, they don't want to ping anything, they're not on comms, and they're not here to play as a team player, they're just here to play. That can be really frustrating. So I'm hoping with the new season of Black Ops 6 and all the integration going into Warzone Mobile, that they will at least take the solo players and the people who don't have a huge friend list of players into consideration and not forcing them into these large parties of people who don't want to cooperate. The next thing I want to talk about is the pay-to-win bundles. Now, the first pay-to-win bundle that I ever came across was the Fallout bundle that they did in MW3. There was a scope attachment that, even though the optic you can unlock from just playing the game, but this version of the optic you can only get from purchasing this bundle, and it gave you a kind of weird effect when you ADS, that if you shot someone, it was like a smoke trail that kind of followed them, so you would kind of always cheese it. If you were ADSing and you shot someone through that optic, you would see which direction they're running in because of the little smoke trail. They did something similar to this in Black Ops 6 to where if you paid the $100 for the pre-order instead of paying the $69.99 like I did, once you hit level 4 and you unlocked your loadouts, your guns had 5 attachments. And not only did they have 5 attachments, if you paid the $100 and you got the grenade launcher attachment, you could only get the smoke grenade from the $100 bundle. Now, I played week 1 and week 2 of the betas. I leveled up all of my guns, and regardless of what grenade launcher attachment you use, there is no grenade launcher attachment that gives you a smoke grenade. That is specifically tied to the camo that is locked behind the Vault Edition bundle. I think pay to win stuff like this is really toxic, and it doesn't leave people on a level playing field, especially when you have to deal with SBMM. And I go into a lobby where my connection is horrible because of SBMM, regardless if I'm hardwired or not. And then I got to go up against someone who paid a little bit more money than me, and they have an attachment that I can never have just because I didn't pay the additional $30. Real scummy. The next thing I want to talk about in Warzone Mobile is button configuration. You know, for having controller support and advertising people who play Warzone and MW3 and Black Ops 6 to integrate and transfer over and play Warzone Mobile, you guys got to have better controller configuration. You know, a lot of people don't use the triggers to shoot. They use the left and right bumper to shoot, and the triggers are usually their grenades. You guys have to update the controller configurations to give more variety to other players. Now, that is really all of my cons. Now we're going to move into some of the pros that I think that's going to make Warzone Mobile one of the best FPS shooters on mobile. Movement. I played with the Omni movement. I don't go crazy and do all the crazy stuff that you might see on clips in this gameplay, but the omnidirectional movement, being able to stray from side to side, back and front, it's really amazing. It's really amazing. And I do think this right here will bring a lot of people back to Warzone Mobile. Will it be enough? I don't know. But I do know for the dedicated fans that are day in and day out playing, streaming, and creating content on Warzone Mobile, if you guys haven't been able to test out the Omni movement, just take my word on it. I really do think you're going to enjoy it. I really do. The second thing I think that's going to be a game changer for Warzone Mobile is the dedicated melee slot. Now, I might not like the dedicated melee button, but having a dedicated melee slot inside of Warzone Mobile is going to be game changer. Season 6 just started. Not only do we have the spear, but we also have the compound bow, which is considered a grenade launcher or a launcher. But being able to have one of these weapons, the sledgehammer, dual Kodachis, we have a huge list of melee weapons that we can use. And being able to keep all these weapons, even though the Black Ops 6 is being integrated into Warzone, it's going to have us have a catalog of melee weapons that we can choose from. And no one should ever feel like that they shouldn't pull out their dedicated melee button. You know, you should always be using your melee once you get that dedicated melee slot, regardless if it's the karambit, the sledgehammer, the sword, the spear, the compound. It doesn't matter what it is. If you like running melee weapons, there's no excuse for you not to be running them, because you'll still get 2 weapons. You'll get your primary, your secondary, and your dedicated melee. So I'm looking forward to it, and I know a bunch of other Warzone Mobile players are going to be looking forward to this feature just like I am. The next thing I want to talk about is the weapon armory. The fact that we're keeping all the weapons that we got from MW2, MW3, and you know we'll get to keep all these weapons and we're not losing them, on top of getting the weapons from Black Ops 6. It's phenomenal. You know, we are going to be one of the only games that are a first-person shooter on mobile with a humongous catalog of a humongous catalog of weapons to choose from. You know, from assault rifles, battle rifles, you got melee weapons like riot shields, you have LMGs, you have marksman rifles, sniper rifles, you got handguns, you got launchers. We have so many weapons in this game. I don't think you'll ever hear anyone complaining about not having a specific weapon that tailors to their playstyle. Our weapon catalog is going to be ridiculous, okay? Absolutely ridiculous. The next thing I want to talk about that's going to actually improve this game, with skill-based matchmaking being so crazy. If you guys want to hear me talk more about skill-based matchmaking, I'll leave the link in the description. We already addressed that in a previous video. But with skill-based matchmaking being so crazy in Call of Duty right now, if you are the type of person that cares about your KD and having a high KD, it can be really frustrating going up against skill-based matchmaking and having the worst connection, having controller support issues, whatever the case may be. Going back to the classic prestige of getting to, max level and them asking you, hey, do you want to prestige and then do it all over again? I think that for players like myself who grew up on old Call of Duty is going to be way more rewarding than having to keep back out of games because I'm afraid of my KD going down. Finally, I'll be able to play a game where I don't care about the KD. You'll know that I'm a good player from just being in a lobby with me and seeing how many times I've prestiged. I know a lot of people don't like prestiging back in the day because you lose all your weapons and you got to unlock them all over again. But let's face it, where we are right now, I'm about to be max rank inside of Warzone Mobile. And there's tons of guns that I haven't touched just because I don't care about them. Once I reach max rank, there's nothing else for me to do outside of just playing the game just to play the game. So I feel like going back to the classic prestige, it actually gives the game a little bit more purpose and, a little bit more value in the replayability. The last pro that I want to talk about that sets this game aside from any other mobile game is the fact that it's free to play. Everybody else right now has to pay $69.99 or the $100 for the Vault Edition of Black Ops 6 to play Black Ops 6. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand Warzone is free. So unless you're going to wait until the Black Ops 6 Omni movement gets integrated into Warzone, there is no other way that you're going to get not only a Battle Royale experience, but a multiplayer experience as well. Now, come on, y'all. It's free. You can't beat that. Now, I will say this, though. None of this matters. None of the things that I just discussed even matter if we don't get the optimization down packed in this game. This game will fail, and it will just be another game that could have been if the devs do not get the optimization down packed. If you guys enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you guys would like to see me play Warzone Mobile live, we go live on Twitch weekly, and I'll leave the link in the description. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I really hope that Warzone Mobile does get better. It's just sad to say that right now in the state that it's in, I don't know. I really don't know if the game is going to get better, if it's going to get worse. I do know if you're playing touch, a lot of the issues have been fixed. But if you're like myself, who's a controller player, you're still shit out of luck. I'll catch you guys in the next video.